Think about the things that land on your doormat every morning. How do you feel about some of those things? Well, the Royal Mail's vision is that you need more of the mail that you want and less of the mail that you don't want. So what are they doing about this? And how are they using the power of their huge countrywide infrastructure to help with the task of recycling more things?
I see some of the challenge for Royal Mail is in sort of five parts. First of all, we need to be an environmentally sound company ourselves. And we're doing a hell of a lot, using the right vehicles, optimising delivery runs, routings, all the things you'd expect Royal Mail to be doing. When it comes down to direct mail, I think there are 4 further strands. How do we help people target properly? We want to minimise the amount of wasted mail that's going out, because that's the right thing to do. When something is then produced, how is it done in the most environmentally positive way? Second strand. How then do we deliver these things in a great way for the environment? And actually, when you think that most of our postmen and women are walking and going around on bike, well, that ain't too bad for the environment. And I think the 4th challenge, and the biggest and trickiest, is the recycling dimension. And that's one that we're putting a hell of a lot of thought into just now. There's a few things Royal Mail has already done to help with the environmental challenge on mail. Something we call responsible mail, which is how we help direct mailers confront, identify and do something about some of the carbon issues, the environmental impact of direct mail. How do you target well, first of all? How, when you've decided to do a perfectly targeted mailing, do you produce that in the most sustainable, positive way for the environment? And that's what we call responsible mail. We've also launched a carbon neutral door-to-door service. Door-to-door is the unaddressed material that you would get through the mail. We identify the carbon footprint of those particular mailings with the customers and make sure we help carbon neutrality. We fund that for those posters. Last thing is something we call the mailing house scheme, where what we do is we encourage those responsible for the production of a huge amount of mailings to again do that in a very sustainable way, and then we incentivise those. In short order, we're expecting to be paying out a couple of £1 million to some of the mailing houses, to recognise the efforts that they've made in that area. Interesting statistic: the carbon footprint of all of the mail that you will ever receive in your whole life is less than one single long-haul flight. Now, that doesn't mean mail doesn't have its own house to get in order. We need to get the context. Similarly, when you ask the consumer what are the biggest contributors to landfill, it's this great big histogram bar for mail and a tiny bar for newspapers, fairly tiny bar. And actually the reality of it is exactly the other way around. Mail's quite a small proportion of what goes into landfill. Newspapers is a big challenge. One of the things that we're looking at is how we can exploit the infrastructure, the daily reach that we have, to help the nation with some of the environmental challenges that are out there. For example, everybody has got old phones, old cameras, batteries sitting around the house that need to be recycled properly. And it's not just something, it's a feel-good factor these days, legislation just around the corner. Royal Mail's daily reach, well, we can be collecting, recycling, packaging all these things up for people so we consume the problem. And there'll be many other ways where we can actually look at our reach out into the communities to help some of the recycling challenge, whether it's cameras and batteries and all that sort of stuff, or mail itself.